Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here. We're taking another look at Matic. We're doing a technical analysis. There's no fundamentals. We're just going to go straight to the data. Before we do, I am not a financial advisor. Please do your own research and just know that this is for educational purposes only. Let's get to it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Matic. And I think you'll be quite intrigued by the charts here, as I'm sure the reason why you're here in the first place, right? What in the hell is happening? Look at this, just shooting straight up into the sky. Some people might refer to this as mooning, but I just think it's awesome and excellent. Obviously, it's easy to be excited about it because I'm currently invested, but you are likely too if you're watching this, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at just kind of an update on what's going on. More importantly, the technical data specifically, and what we can do to find a good approach if you plan to take entry. Perhaps you're planning to trim off the top, it's up to you. I would absolutely recommend, if you are invested and you have a decent amount in here, to consider taking a little bit when it hits its peak. Every time it does, maybe take a good 10-20%. That's my recommendation. Anyways, enough about that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the data. So what we're going to do is just kind of take a quick look at the 15-minute chart. And if you can kind of see here, consolidation, and just taking off. All right. Now, I typically like to compare with Bitcoin, and we can do that briefly just so we can kind of see. So here is the 17th and Bitcoin's major sell-off, and of course that created a couple of support lines and then eventually resistance. And what's nice about this too is the price is over that amount. So in other words, Bitcoin is over a major support level, so it should continue to hold. In fact, there's speculation it's going to go up really fast, really soon. So just pay attention to that. But good news is the way that what you see here didn't essentially impact Matic all that much, right? So if we look back at the 17th here, right? That's what happened here back on the 17th. Dropped down, recovered, steady consolidation, and then when Bitcoin started to do its sell-off, look at that, hardly even impacted it. It only changed it by 10 cents. And then, of course, the most recent impact for Bitcoin's all-time low of roughly 47,000, it dropped down to 34 cents. So the great thing about Matic is it's not impacted by Bitcoin as much as most other coins, and I think it's fantastic. Most, in my opinion, the best coins are the ones that aren't going to be destroyed when Bitcoin goes down, right? It appears that Matic is essentially doing its own thing right now, and this is awesome. Okay, so that's the 15-minute chart there. We're going to take a look at the one-day chart first, go down to 4-hour, and then just quickly find a good entry point on the 15-hour chart, or less in this case, correction, the 15-minute chart, or less, because the fact that the price, as you can see, jumping up as high as it has, we got to be careful with our entry points, right? Anyways, here's the one-day chart. And when I covered it 24 hours ago, it was in this channel right here, just there, that little guy right there. And now it's going Captain Insano, completely jumped off, which is great. So that being said, let's take a look at some. We got to look at some indicators here, right? So first thing, what do you see as an indicator that might be a little extreme that you want to be very careful with? If you said RSI, you're on the right track. Absolutely, RSI is way overextended at 83. Again, anything over 70 is not the most ideal indicator. And when you see an RSI over 70 on the one-day chart, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's a warning sign, but it's essentially, it's something that you want to be careful with. Now, I know it would have been nice to get in right here if you hadn't and caught all these, these gains. And you truly never know, of course, because again, RSI can go up and it could come right back down. Usually what does come up comes back down as well, not just gravity, right? When it comes to coins or stocks or whatever you're trading, there's only so much that it can take. There's only so high it can go until it reverses. I'm speculating there's going to be a reversal soon. I could be wrong, but with this amount of growth in such a short amount of time, it's likely we're going to see some type of reversal. So just be prepared, be ready for that, and I would recommend taking your profits whenever you possibly can. Anyways, that's the one-day chart. The MACD is indicating that it's on a strong, momentous uptrend, and there really doesn't appear to be any slowing down according to what we see here. Now let's look at the 4-hour chart though, because this to me is the most, gives us the most validity, the most weight. And look at all these green volume bars. Hardly even, just barely even one one red volume bar there, and it almost closed green. So we're talking this is pushing hard. So the MACD is pretty strong. It's still continuing upwards. I do feel like it's reaching its peak. So me personally, I'm going to speculate that this isn't going to go much higher. I hope I don't eat my words later. But I also do, because I'd love to continue to make more off of it, right? I think we all would. But just based on the technicals alone, the RSI is well overextended. It has been for some time. As you can see, the RSI has been over 70 for the last 2 days. So traditionally, I would just say anything over 70 is not an ideal indicator to go long. But of course, what you see here is kind of contradicting what I just said, right? So again, you never truly know. That the safe investor in me is lucky to have got in back here, not here, because I probably wouldn't have taken an entry. Again, that's just me personally. But again, based on the 4-hour charts, everything appears to be overbought and overextended. So I feel like it's going to come down again eventually soon. Okay. Now, I haven't looked at the fundamentals as to why this is happening. I'm sure there is likely some news and some other things that are causing this to happen. It doesn't just happen out of random, but I can tell you with all the volume, everything here, this is awesome for day traders and swing traders alike. All right, and just one thing I usually try to note is the moving averages. They're null and void right now. Really no point in even using them because they're so far behind and will be like this for a little while. Until the price calms down, we won't see anything. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to look at support and resistance levels, and those are gonna be difficult to find because it's making higher highs consistently. So sometimes when it's in situations like this, you just gotta be extra careful. Actually, every time you wanna be careful, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 15-minute chart now. Okay, so 15-minute chart, these are the bars from before. I think it's a little off, not a very straight line there. But these are essentially the bars from yesterday's review. So if you watched that yesterday, I think we are right in this range here, and it hadn't broken out yet. And I was recommending that we wait for it to bounce off the support first before it increases, and to essentially wait for 2 15-minute green bars. So what that would have looked like is right here, if it bounced off of the support level of about 49 cents, you see these 2 15-minute green bars. Taking entry right around here would have been a good technical sign, right? A good technical entry. And had you done that, hopefully you did, you would reap the rewards here. But generally speaking, no matter how you look at it here, with the 15-minute chart, let's take a look. What speaks to you here that seems to be good or bad? Well, to me, let's just address the bad, of course, at first, which is the RSI. Extremely overbought, 85 still. You typically don't see an RSI over 80 in all 3 charts. So that to me is a red flag personally. Furthermore, there's also the MACD. It continues to just push upwards. Anytime the momentum tries to die off, it continues to go up again. Now again, these don't carry a lot of weight on the 15-minute chart, but it is something to note if you're going to take entry. And typically, you do not want to take entry when the RSI is over, just say even 60 on the 15-minute chart or less. So again, just something to note there. That's me. Again, this is my style. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can tell you that me being kind of a conservative, risk-averse trader, these are all indicators that kind of appear to be kind of risky and kind of concerning. So why don't we go ahead and take a look a little closer, really quick, before we look at a smaller time frame. I just want to see if we can find any support or resistance levels. We kind of have some loose ones here. We'll just mark those. Because if the price comes down, which I still feel that it will, then it's going to come down and hit and test one of these lines. So this one is loosely touched, kind of almost in between, right at about 70 cents. And then I guess we could say there's another one here at roughly 74.5. And just to disclose, adding these kind of support and resistance levels on massive increases like this can be challenging because they're only tested a couple of times here and there, and there's not a lot of strength to them. So to me, when it comes to something like this, the most important indicator would be the volume weighted average price. And it's obviously got a significant variance between the VWAP, which is currently trending at about 73 cents, versus the price, which is roughly about 88 cents. So with that being such a large gap, that usually also pushes it down. And unfortunately, this doesn't show us the high and the low for the VWAP. Normally on a traditional trading, it'll show a high and a low. Like for example, let's just take a quick look here. If you see here on the VWAP, these are the pink lines. There's usually an extreme range up and an extreme range down. So you know when it's testing that, it's overextended. So what I'm referring to here is when the VWAP, there's a variance like this, for example, it's like well over, what is like 8 to 10% above. That's a significant difference. In other words, it usually comes crashing down when the VWAP has such a large variance, right? That being said, furthermore, what we're looking at here next is for the price to likely bounce off the VWAP in the near future. As you saw it did previously, it bounced there, and didn't even need to here because it had so much momentum. So, if I were to take entry on this, I would first of all find a smaller time frame, because when the price goes up this fast and this quick, we can't really make a proper entry on a 15-minute chart. So we're going to have to take a look at a little smaller chart here. Let's go right down to the 1 minute, and just bear in mind, the moving averages aren't extremely accurate at this level. I would prefer, and in fact we can change that, I prefer the 10 and maybe the 20. Okay, so looking at the 10 and the 20, we'll go ahead and hide the 200. And these things tell us a little bit more as to what's going on. 20, in my opinion, is a little bit better on the 1 minute chart, but look at the VWAP first of all. You see how far away it is? It's gonna create a difference there. It's going to correct itself. It will. I think they will eventually collide, and it'll either bounce off or shoot down below. Good news is we got a potential support here at 74 cents, which could work as a potential support level. So, you know, honestly, at this point, looking at what I see right now on the 1 minute chart, with the fact that it's shot right past the 20 minute MA, or the 20-day MA, I don't really think that taking entry right now is ideal. And here's something to note too. We didn't see it on the 15, but there is a potential, a very small potential support level right there. It was tested twice previously, and it was just again tested and rejected here. So again, you want to be careful when the price movement is so violent like this right now and jumps up so fast and so quick. You know, taking entry. First things first. Okay, here's some recommendations here. If you're going to take entry in this climate, take small entries. Okay, no more than 15-20% at a time. Because again, you go all in right now, you're going to get destroyed. You could get lucky. Don't get wrong. You could, but it's not worth gambling, in my opinion. Don't gamble your gains on speculation, right? Unless you know something that nobody else knows, there's really no point to go all in unless you are going to hold on for dear life. Okay, so that being said too, if we look at the 1 day chart, just keep this in mind. This is new territory here, right? So it's previous all-time high. Hold on, let me just double check. Yeah, previous all-time high was 54 cents. And it's almost doubled that in just say a 24-hour or less period. So again, keep that in mind. If there was a previous all-time high higher than where we're at right now, then I'd feel much more comfortable. But since we're charting new territory and there's consistently new higher highs, we got to be very careful. So until the VWAP catches up, I would say take extreme caution. This potential, and again, minor support level at 85 cents could work. As you can see, it's kind of bouncing off of that. But I wouldn't feel comfortable taking entry until I see a lot more confirmation that this is an actual support level. Okay. So me personally, if I were to invest in this right now, I would wait for this to be tested quite a few more times. Have some consistency here, a slight amount of consolidation. And then also, furthermore, I'd wait for the volume weighted average price to catch up, because I do still feel like the price will come tumbling down here in the near future. It's only inevitable. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong and it just continues to go up. But I'm just a little concerned with all the indicators. Just from a technical standpoint, it doesn't seem like an ideal consideration to go long at this point. A short position might actually be advantageous. And if you were to go with a short position, you would take this potential support line, basically a resistance level, if you're swing trading, or if you're shorting essentially, then what you do is you use this as a resistance level, and you would wait for the price to test it a few more times. So in other words, we'd want to see maybe 2 or 3 more red bars on the 1 minute chart. Again, I prefer a lot more confirmation than just that. But if you're going to be day trading, this is moving so fast, you kind of have to act on that. Here's another thing to note too. First of all, before we go any further, do you see the length of these red bars? They're a lot longer. That tells me that there could be a potential sell-off coming soon, as well as the fact that there's a lot more volume right here. So I think I'm just a little concerned. So just please be cautious. I wouldn't recommend taking much of an entry. If you do, take a small position and wait for this potential little support line here right at about 84.5 cents to continue to get tested multiple times, and then maybe take entry. Or the safer bet would be for the price to wait for the price to continue to come down, and for the VWAP to come up and eventually meet it, and then see how it reacts to that line. So that is my thoughts. That's what I would recommend doing here. Just take extreme caution, as I've said multiple times, and just do your due diligence. Look at all the indicators. As you can kind of tell, the indicators are kind of telling us that everything is overbought, and essentially just way too high. Things are just not an ideal situation here. So again, as a day trader, this doesn't look terrible. If you look at the 1 minute chart, your RSI is still low. So yes, potentially you have an entry point here. Just be very cautious and wait for confirmation. Okay. So I hope you found this beneficial, and I hope it wasn't just adding more question marks as to what you should do, but I think you should play it safe. And if you're going to just take a little bit of risk, that's okay. Maybe just say, again, a 20% position, 25 maybe tops, and see where that goes. But I wouldn't expect it to continue to have the same momentous uptrend that it's had so far, because of the fact that it's getting it's so much higher than it was yesterday, right? So please just be careful, and if you do find benefit from this, please let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you are able to find some knowledge here, and just be extremely careful when you're taking entry in something like this. I would recommend, actually my final recommendation would be to trim off the top. In other words, sell maybe, I would say, 15 to 20% of your total position when it reaches a peak like this, and all the oscillators, they tell you that the price is overbought. That's usually a good time to go ahead and sell and trim from the top. So that's what I would do. In fact, I'll probably do that here in just a moment, but I would recommend that you just, again, very careful and just pay attention to all the indicators. And what I'll probably do is keep a closer eye on this here. I'll likely do another review tomorrow just to keep tabs on it to see how it's reacted. And as you can kind of see here, if you take a look, again, this isn't for sure, but the price is trending down. And I don't feel like this is a very strong support or resistance level. I do feel like the MACD or possibly the level of 74 cents would be a much more reliable support level to count on. Okay. Again, be careful, be safe. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me here. Take care.